inefficient. It's possible, but it's inefficient. Okay. Now, we'll describe a little bit more of the things that provide shape and slope to the production possibilities frontier. Production, defining production technology, is this process of turning resources into products and services that people want. Right? We're going to take the factors of production and turn them into output, and this is what we mean by when we talk about production. Factors of production are scarce resources. The first one is land. Right? We have land, and land refers to not only the ground, but also all of the raw materials in it, all of the trees in the air, and perhaps even outer space, I guess, would be the things that we refer to as land. These are the things that nature provides us. Labor. Now, labor can be broken up into two parts. There's a sort of a raw labor component that represents kind of what we would get if we put no energy into developing our skills. The second component is human capital, and human capital and labor are both people resources, but there's an important difference. Human capital involves not just your raw efforts, your raw innate ability. It also involves the skills you develop, either through working on the job or through working at school, through training, through learning a language, all kinds of things. Keeping your body in shape, all kinds of things represent human capital. What about physical capital? Physical capital are the things that we build, the things that we make, and then use later in production. So trucks, buildings, all of the things that we use in the process of production of producing goods and services are physical capital. And then the last part is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship represents our ability, our skill, our technical knowledge on how to put things together. We learn all the time how to put things together, and developing new ways, developing new methods of building goods and services out of the factors of production is what we talk about when we talk about entrepreneurship. Okay, so now we're going to talk about each of the four things we hope to learn from the graph as we go through here. The first concept is scarcity, and we note that not every combination is possible. No matter how resources are combined, point C is not feasible. Right? We can't do this. We can't get out here. We can't get beyond our production possibilities frontier. The production possibilities frontier is constrained, remember, by how many resources we have at a given point in time. Now we talk about efficiency. Efficient points A, B, and E are those where there is no way to produce more of one good without less production of the other good. Inefficient levels are in here. Right? Inefficient levels are, we can do better than this. We might have unemployment or underutilized resources. One of the things people talk about is what happens after a natural disaster, like a tsunami or an earthquake or something like that. We wind up for a short period of time often inside the production possibilities frontier until we rearrange, until we put everything back to use. So an inefficient point signals unemployment or underutilized resources. Efficient points are those along the production possibilities frontier. Technically, this is efficient. Right? Technically, this is efficient. Quantity of cars produced out here. If we spent all of our resources on cars, producing 1,000 cars and nothing else would be efficient. It's probably not what we want, but it's efficient in the economic sense. Now, opportunity cost refers to the trade-offs that we face. Opportunity cost refers to this notion that we're forced to trade one good for another. Right? The opportunity cost of producing at point B rather than point A is 100 more cars produced at the expense of 200 fewer computers. Right? We go from 2,200 computers down to 2,000 to get another 100 cars. Is it worth it? I don't know. It depends on the preferences of firms and households. But the opportunity cost represents the fact that we have a trade-off, represents the fact that we have to make a choice. Right? If we wish to produce more of something, we need to, once we've reached efficiency, produce less of something else. Right? So the question is, the important questions from an economic perspective is, are we producing efficiently? And then what are the trade-offs that we face? Okay. Now, there's something important for you to note when we talk about opportunity costs. Oops. Now, there's something important for you to note when we talk about opportunity costs. We've drawn this with a convex shape. We've drawn it with a curved line, right? The curved line tells us that opportunity costs are different depending on where we are. If we're producing a lot of computers, if we gave up just a little to get some more cars, we could get a fair bit more cars. We could get 50 more cars up here for giving up just 25 computers. To get 50 cars up here, if we're devoting all of our resources to cars, we could give up 100. We would have to give up 100 computers. In other words, the trade-off gets larger as we produce more of something. The amount we have to give up of the good we're producing a lot of is, how do I say this? To get 50 more computers here, we need to give up just a little bit. To get 50 more cars here, we need to give up just a few computers. To get 50 more cars here, when we're already producing a lot, we have to give up a lot of computers. What's the story? The story is something like this. There are some resources that are best suited for producing cars, and other resources that are best suited for producing computers. And so we take the very best computer programmers and devote them to the business of producing computers. We take the very best car designers and we devote them to producing the best cars. If we want to produce lots and lots and lots of computers, we eventually have to start taking better and better car designers away from the production of cars and moving them toward the production of computers. This is what's meant by this increasing amount of opportunity cost. As we move this direction, as we want to produce more cars, the trade-off is steeper. We have to give up more computers to go from 900 to 950 than we did to go from 250 to 300. Then we shift the production possibilities frontier over time. The first way we can change it, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to say that we need more resources. We're going to need to do this by more resources. Improvements in technology, which we think of as improvements in entrepreneurship and skill of putting things together. Those things can be used semi-interchangeably. If we have a technological advance, say we figure out a new way for making computers, we get a shift in the production possibilities frontier that looks like this. And what we get here is then is a movement, a shift upwards of the production possibilities frontier that will allow us to go from point A, say, to point G, where we get both an increase in the amount of cars we can produce and an increase in the amount of computers we can produce. And we reflect an increase in production technology with an outward shift of the production possibilities frontier that looks like this. Okay, what about labor, right? We talked about two kinds of labor. Sort of what happens when we get more people, or what happens if the people we have get more skills. So we can consider an increase in population or an increase in human capital. And both of these things are going to do the same thing. They're going to push the production possibilities frontier out. An influx of people or an influx of skill, an increase in the amount of skill we have, are going to push the production possibilities frontier outward. What about capital accumulation? What happens if we invest? Well, the same thing. More capital accumulation improved through investment. We build more buildings, we build more plants and equipment, we build more machinery, more tools. This helps us to push the production possibilities frontier outward. We drive the PPF outward if we can develop more capital.